Howdy do, everybody. Steve the Amateur Historian. It's also July 22nd, 2021. You know what that means. A new day, a new story. But before we get to that, remember as always to like, share, subscribe, all those little things to help my channel grow. Remember to hit up my Patreon if you haven't done that yet. I'm trying to post there multiple times a week. Ooh, hello pooch. Lots of extra content that you can only get access to if you become a Patreon supporter today. Even if it's only $1, that'll get you access to all that extra stuff. The link to that is in the description with this video, as well as the links to my Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and my Reddit subreddit pages. So all that said, let's, what is the story? I was going to say something pertaining to my story. I don't even remember what I'm going to talk about today. It's the heat. It's not funny. It's really not a funny story, but I mean, it kind of is. I'm terrible. It's just, it's so ridiculous. Okay, so we have this guy named A. Daly, who is a resident of Calistoga, California. And it's 1915. The previous summer, Mr. Daly had found great relief. He apparently had rheumatism. I'm saying that right, I think I am. And he found like a, I don't know exactly what you'd call it. It was like a mud, I don't know, it was like this area where the ground was always muddy. I don't know, a mud flat, mud pile, mud. Don't ask me to try to explain exactly what it was, but apparently there was this area. It was like a hot spring, but with mud, I guess. And in the summer of 1914, Daly would regularly get into this kind of warm mud, and he said it helped his rheumatism. And he would bathe in the mud periodically. And I mean, at least he had a motivation, you know, because it helped him with a condition he had. Because initially I thought this guy just liked bathing in mud. He just wanted to win a prize for the muddiest, dirtiest person on planet Earth. I don't know. And so it was very helpful to him, I suppose. I would assume it was. He said it helped him. And so, you know, the summer fades, everything gets cooler. It's California, so I don't think it necessarily got cold, but cooler. And seasons pass. It's now summer 1915. And the mud is warm again. And I wonder, because here we are, it's late July, it's not the start of summer. So was this guy waiting till this far into summer before he started using his mud bath again? Or had he been doing it up to this point? I honestly don't know on the whole. But whatever the case, it was probably, since the articles reported July 22nd, I'm guessing it was probably July 20th, July 21st when this actually happened. But Mr. Daly got up, left his Calistoga home, and went down to his mud bath. And apparently the mud in question had become considerably hotter from the previous year. I don't know if it just was hotter, it was a hotter summer, or there was just an alteration in the climate. But Daly climbed into his mud bath, and well, he was found later, and he wasn't alive anymore. And it seems, yeah, there was this drastic change in temperature, and he slid into the mud, and he pretty much, as the article stipulates, he cooked himself. He literally cooked himself to death. Now that I'm actually saying the words, it's really not funny at all. It was just the general concept, but now that I'm like saying the words and I'm playing through my mind what I feel like that would be like to go through, and that is a horrendous way to go. Because I mean, it doesn't seem like, they didn't imply he was melted, but it was just like he just got too hot. So, but I wonder, because I feel like, you know, was this mud like, he probably crouched down into the mud and the mud was like up to his shoulders on a normal day. But you'd think, you know, I don't know the guy. I don't know where his intellect was, because you think as he started slipping his feet in first, he might be like, oh no, this is scalding hot. I should pull my appendages out right now. He could have just jumped in, you know, the hell with it. I'm just gonna jump in, and then it just started torching him, and maybe he didn't have the strength to actually like pull himself out. Or it could have been it was just really hot, but he felt like, oh, this will be good for me. And he relaxed and maybe dozed off, and I don't know. But whatever the circumstances, this mud that he'd found so welcoming and invigorating ended up coming back to pretty much ruin him. Well, not pretty much. I mean, it killed the guy. Yeah, I don't really know where to go from there. Just, I saw that story and I was like, no, this there has to be something. There has to be a mistake here. Now, when you read the story and actually hear it, you get a better understanding of why this guy did this, why he was there. It's just so bizarre, and it makes me think of like hot springs, because you know, you get too close to a hot spring and that you know, that water will kill you. And that's kind of what it made me think of. Again, when I say it was like a hot spring but with mud, you know, because that you get too close to a hot spring at the wrong time, that water's gonna mess you up pretty bad. So that's what happened today, 106 years ago, near Calistoga, California. As a guy slipped into a natural, I guess you could call it, mud bath, and then got like cooked alive. And the article does imply that he simply just jumped in without recognizing the change in temperature. So he jumps in and immediately it starts becoming too much to handle. Now, unless there were others around, which it doesn't seem like there were, it seems like this little mud bed, whatever you want to call it, was probably a little bit outside of town, not just some mud pile in the middle of his city. So I feel like that's probably more of a presumption on the newspaper reporter's half, that he just jumped in. I don't think anybody probably knows for certain exactly what the circumstances were, whether he jumped in, slid in, what have you. But we do know the final outcome. And it's just, you know, you hear bizarre stories about the ways people died, and you think like, wow, that's really crazy. And then you see a story like this, and it makes the story you just heard like inconsequential. Like, wait a minute, that's how this guy died? You know, some of us are destined to die in our sleep. Some of us are destined to die in bizarre ways. Anyway, come on, get your big dumb truck past me. Yeah, I'm making fun of you. So anyway, that is today's story. That is the meat and potatoes of this story. Yeah. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this video didn't traumatize you too much, unless, I mean, if you have a fear of mud, then you're probably ruined for life. But in my defense, I've never heard of anybody being horribly afraid of mud. Probably exists out there somewhere. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting this channel, for supporting the series, for supporting me. I did that out of order. Whatever. And Again, before you go, if you're new to the channel, haven't gone around to it, what have you, remember to like the video, share, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that. Hit up that Patreon so you can get all that sweet extra content. The link to that, again, is in the description with this video, as well as links to my Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Reddit, subreddit pages. And all that said, this has been Steve the Amateur Historian, and I'll see you tomorrow.